Welcome to Maniacally Midwest, a true crime podcast.
What is up, lovely listeners? Thank you for joining us again this week at Maniacally Midwest. Chloe has had a few wardrobe changes prior to try to avoid looking like a ghost on camera.
It's really rough out here when you're like translucently white, okay? So I initially had on a white shirt and we figured out that I look even whiter up against white. And then we tried to have my husband go pick out some stuff. He brought me a shirt with Riff Raff on it, the rapper.
Yeah, it was an orange shirt, so it kind of looked like a mugshot. But I still vote for the white one because then on YouTube it would be a really cool vibe of like maybe The Ring, like the girl like just before she crawls out of the video.
That's
So
what it looks like.
I would have supported that one.
So this is good. It's a very rainy, dreary day. I'm clearly still in my living room. There are 3 dishwashers in my kitchen right now. I don't even want to get into it. So moving is not going great. This is week 2. But
We are here. It is the first week of summer break at my household, and that has been really nice.
good.
If you are a friend or a family member of mine, you've probably seen my Instagram post of my children having screaming wars, so it's really fun for me.
It's going to be a fun-filled summer, definitely.
Yes. Regardless, we are here, and Chloe is going to be the one throwing our case our way today, so I look forward to that. I have zero idea what's going to happen, so I am excited to hear with the rest of you what she's got for us.
All right, guys. This week we're heading to my old stomping grounds. This is kind of all around, but mainly in Pontiac, and then we dabble a little bit over in West Bloomfield. So, for those of you that aren't familiar, Pontiac is in Michigan. It's a northern suburb of Detroit. It's like 20 miles outside of the city limits of Detroit.
I think Pontiac is where Legoland is, right?
Legoland is in Auburn Hills, which is right next to Pontiac. Very similar areas. So yeah, super close by. As of 2020, the population was around 62,000. So, I mean, it's not super populated, but there's a decent amount of people that are there. It was founded in 1818 and was named after an Indian war chief from the Ottawa tribe. You know, in the Midwest, we love our Native American names.
We do, yes.
Because we came and stole the land from everybody, but that's a conversation for another day. The city was best known for its General Motors manufacturing plants and, of course, the Pontiac Motor Division. So for those of you that are not too old, you'll remember Pontiac cars, which were, of course, named after the city.
Well, guess what? I used to own a Pontiac Bonneville. It was fantastic.
Did you? That's what my grandma drove forever. So she only drove Pontiacs.
It was a grandma's car even when I had it. So, but the seats were so comfortable. They were all like a couch, basically, very plush and like comfortable. I mean, there were some problems with it. I didn't have AC. Accidentally blew the speakers out. One of the doors wouldn't open, so that there was like a dent under the door handle from where I would like roundhouse kick it to like engage the lock so you could open it. But I loved that car.
They were great, yes. She had Bonnevilles, and then she moved on to the Grand Prix for a while, because I don't know if they stopped making the Bonnevilles.
Ah, yes.
Like the sedans, you know?
The Grand Prix. I loved that car also. That was beautiful.
Yes. So, unfortunately, Pontiacs were discontinued in 2010, and it was really sad. That, you know, this was all right after the 2008 recession, really there was just a huge decline when General Motors pulled out of there, because that was like the basis of the economy for Pontiac. And I remember just kind of watching it continue to crumble. But on the plus side, so there was like all this open land, right, where the plants were.
Right.
And so a lot of movie studios ended up coming in and making like the big like sound stages, and there have been like quite a
Oh.
few like movies filmed around the area. Ben Affleck
Oh.
and Jennifer Garner lived in Bloomfield Hills for a while I was in high school, because they
What?
filmed Batman in the area. And I
What?
think, I'm trying to remember, there are like a handful. There are a bunch of movies that they ended up filming bits and pieces of, because Michigan also gave out really great tax incentives for people to come film there to kind of
Right.
revive the area.
I didn't know that the Batman with Ben Affleck was in Detroit. The Batman with Christian Bale was Chicago.
Oh,
I
that's
used to
who.
give, guys, if you know me from back in the day, I used to give an unauthorized Batman tour of Chicago. Yeah, it was free. And
That's a
uh,
shocker. I would have paid good
it,
money for that.
well, I know, but great reviews. People loved it. I'm weird.
Listen, I think I love Christian Bale as Batman. He's one of the first that I think of. I don't think of Ben Affleck as
I
Batman.
don't either, but have you watched the new Batman with Robert Pattinson?
No.
Okay, I thought that that was a terrible choice because to me that's Edward Cullen forever and always. It is not bad. He
I
actually
heard
does a
mixed
decent job,
reviews. Yeah.
which is weird because Christian Bale is forever Batman to me. I don't care George Clooney, Ben Affleck, whoever. No, no, thank you. Only
Okay.
Christian Bale.
Well,
You
write
heard it
us.
here first, folks.
Yeah, write us. Let us know who you think of as Batman. In the meantime, some notable people from Pontiac include Madonna, who lived there during her childhood.
This was news to me a couple of weeks ago when you revealed she was from Michigan. I had zero idea. I did not know that.
Yes, she's like a staple. So then, from my alma mater, of course, Lawrence S. Bacow, who's the president of Harvard, he grew up in
Oh.
Pontiac. I did not go to Harvard, but I'm waiting on my honorary degree. Um, and then Dwayne Pearsall, who was the inventor of the smoke detector.
Oh, I thought you were gonna. Oh, gee. Oh my God, my kid just tickled my side.
I thought there was a bug.
I don't know what I thought that was. Don't do that again. I think I pulled a muscle in my side. That scared me.
I don't.
Okay. 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 Whew.
All
Let me
right,
compose myself for one moment.
get it together and scene.
Mm, fun fact, I startle easily, in case you did not know. No, I thought you were going to say Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I was going to be like, whoa, no.
No, unfortunately, there were like a lot of politicians and stuff that were from there, but nobody's super notable. One of the ladies actually that's running for governor of Wisconsin right now was born and raised in Pontiac, so pretty cool.
How dare she? Then you don't get to run for governor.
She
Stay in your
switched.
lane.
Yeah.
No, sorry. You're dead to us.
Well, so
Anyways.
yeah, now that we know a little bit more about where we're at, let's learn about the key figures in this case. So, for starters, we're in 1997. Carol Giles was a 27-year-old nurse who worked at St. Joseph Mercy Hospital in Pontiac, which is
Okay.
literally 5 minutes down the street from my house. We've had lots of experiences with that hospital.
I'm
Uh,
getting nervous. There's a nurse introduced, so.
yes. Carol was married to 41-year-old Jesse Giles, so a little bit of an age gap there, but who are we to judge? That's fine.
Right.
The couple had 4 children. 2 were from Jesse's previous relationship, and then the youngest 2 were from their marriage.
Okay.
So people describe Jesse as an attentive father and provider for his family. But he did, however, suffer from some health complications, mostly related to his weight. So he weighed around 500 pounds. Like, he was a big guy.
Oh, okay.
And that led to him having diabetes. And because of the state of his health, he actually ended up having a stroke at one point, and that left him without feeling in his left arm.
Oh,
So that pretty
no.
much rendered him disabled, unfortunately. And at that point, Carol became his primary caretaker, which really put a strain on their relationship. Which, I
Right.
mean, it's understandable. That's a lot, going from being somebody's partner to being their caretaker.
Yeah.
So Carol began to frequently go out with her friends and took
Hmm.
secret phone calls, which angered Jesse.
Carol.
Carol. So in this period of time, she had started an affair, surprise, surprise, with an acquaintance from her work, from her job as a nurse, and his name was Tim Collier.
Tim.
So he was about her age. I think he was 3 years older. So she was 27. He must have been 30 at the time.
Okay.
So more like age appropriate, I guess. Um, the two were smitten with each other, and Carol really enjoyed this new relationship because she was growing tired of caring for her ailing husband. Eventually, Jesse grew suspicious of her actions, and he told her to leave and that he would be keeping custody of the children.
Oh,
But
Carol's not going to like that.
no, she fortunately didn't have to worry about this threat for long, because on September 28th, 1997, Carol arrived home from a shopping trip to find Jesse not breathing. She called West Bloomfield Police, and the dispatcher instructed her to administer CPR, but it was too late, and Jesse's death was ruled as a heart attack occurring from natural causes.
Hmm.
So at the time, his daughter, Tamika, she knew that her dad had medical issues, obviously.
Right.
But she still thought that there was something fishy going on. She brought this up to the police, and basically the police didn't believe her, and the case was closed. They just left it as is. So we fast forward a few months. After Jesse's passing, Carol's friend, Nancy Billiter, moves in with her to help with the kids and around the house, which is super, super nice.
Yeah.
Nancy was a 45-year-old woman who was in school studying to be a nurse, and she worked at a local restaurant as a waitress in the meantime. The two had met at the restaurant, and it was called the South Boulevard Station. They bonded because Carol would go in there and read mystery novels, and Nancy was also super into mystery novels. So
Okay.
they like kind of struck up a friendship, ended up, all this stuff happened with Jesse, and
Hmm.
Nancy offered to move in so she could help with housework and keeping the two youngest, in line.
Right.
So after Nancy moved in, the kids saw less and less of Carol, and they said that she began to change. So now we're in October of 1997. So a few months after Jesse passes away. Carol announces that Tim is going to be moving into the house with everybody. Yeah. This gets weird because almost immediately after moving in, Tim starts wearing Jesse's jewelry, driving his truck, and this made Nancy and the kids real uncomfortable.
Okay, the driving the truck thing, like, okay. The jewelry thing is where that's weird.
It's very weird. So Tim and Nancy didn't get along. It was the stressful living situation. Basically, Tim was super arrogant and narcissistic, and he thought everybody like wanted to be him, and became
Okay.
super jealous of Carol and Nancy's close friendship. And then on several occasions, Tim stated that he wanted them to all be a threesome. So I don't know if he meant like, oh, like we're all gonna date each other, or like, oh, like we should have a threesome, like we should all bang. And any case, Nancy was like, nah, that ain't the move. She rejected the advances every time and made it very clear that she was only living in the house still to take care of the kids, which is really stand up of her. I don't know if I was in that situation, if I would stick around. I mean, it's got to be hard. You're probably torn because you don't want to leave kids in this situation that you're not
Yeah.
comfortable with, but also,
Screw that. Yeah.
yeah, shit's weird. Okay, so in November of 1997, Tim and Carol traveled to California so that Carol could meet his family. And while they were gone, Nancy called them to let them know that someone had broken into the house to steal a VCR. God bless 1997 when VCRs were.
How are you going to rewind your movies without that?
Yeah. I mean, they were important.
You're going to get charged extra if you had like a Blockbuster video that you had to return. If you didn't rewind that, really put them up shit creek, I guess.
It's a pain. Do you remember, like, in Blockbuster, they would have the big machines, like, at the front, like, a line of them to, like, rewind them?
Mm-hmm. I remember the Be Kind, Please Rewind stickers on boxes.
Yes. Oh my God, what a time to be alive.
Mm.
So, Tim immediately accused Nancy of being involved in this, saying that she did it in whatever capacity.
Wait, they only stole a VCR? That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's weird.
It's weird, but I mean, like, people used to steal car radios and stuff. Like, it's just, I think, something that people did. Like, it was a more expensive electronic at that point, so.
Yeah, and a lot lighter than the huge TVs that came with the VCRs, I guess.
Well, that's what I was just going to say, too. You're not going to carry out one of the big screen TVs that weighed like 600 pounds. So that all happened there in California, whatever. Just before 2 p.m. on Friday, November 14th, 1997, Michigan police received a 911 call from a group of fishermen who were out going fishing in the Flint River. So for those of you that are not familiar, Flint is maybe like 30, 45 minutes away from Pontiac. So not in the area. They told authorities that as they were walking down a trail towards the water, they spotted what appeared to be a pile of blankets. Upon looking closer at the pile, they noticed that there was a foot hanging out of this pile of blankets. So they called the police immediately. Yeah, when police arrived,
it's gonna be Nancy. Gosh, darn it.
Gosh darn it. When police arrived on scene, it was revealed that the person was bound, gagged, and badly beaten with multiple wounds to the head and face. It appeared to be a white female that had been wrapped in a floral print comforter. She had been injected at least 8 times at different spots on the body with what was later confirmed to be battery acid. And there was a smell of gasoline where it appeared that somebody had tried to burn the body but failed. So the cause of death was confirmed to be asphyxia as a result of aspirating her own blood. And at the time, police found no identification on the body, but the clothing she was wearing had a logo on it of a restaurant. So they find out where this restaurant is. They talk to the owner, and he comes down to identify the body. It does, unfortunately, end up being Nancy, who was the manager at the restaurant. The owner says that Nancy hadn't shown up for work in a few days. No one had heard from her in about 48 hours. And he told the police that Nancy had been staying with Carol.
Hang on a sec. What do you need? Can I give myself some milk? Just have a water for now. I'll give you milk after, okay? Just go. I'm supposed to be doing this. I told you. Stay downstairs. Have water, and then later you can have milk. Go. All right.
So when police learned that Nancy had been living with Carol, they obviously head over there to question her. Carol reported that she had last seen Nancy on November 11th when her and Tim had been hanging out until about 1:30 in the morning, and then Nancy had left to go see her mother, which weird of you to go see your mom at 1:30 in the morning. But
Yeah.
police were like, no, like this sounds very sus.
Right.
They were not down with this story. Basically, they end up telling her to come down to the station because she was acting really strange, and she ends up changing her story to, oh, well, maybe I possibly saw her on the 13th instead. And they ask her, hey, like, can we search your home? She says yes. Inside the house, the police find a matching floral sheet to the one that Nancy had been wrapped in and several syringes.
What
So
the
they
hell?
continue to interview Carol. She was super cooperative. She told the police that she came home to find Nancy and Tim arguing in the basement about the stolen VCR. And she said that Tim had tied Nancy to the bed with nylons and was beating her. She said that he continued to beat her and then covered her face with a towel soaked in bleach. Carol said that Tim pointed a gun at her at that point and told her to go back upstairs. She said a few minutes later, Tim came upstairs and told her that he knows Nancy stole the VCR, and Carol told him that she knew Nancy was dead and that she was afraid that she would be next. So, this is obviously really solid evidence. They get a warrant to further search the house. They end up finding a gun as well as a blood soaked mattress. Also, inside Carol's car, they discovered an empty plastic gas container as well as a container of battery acid. And then they also found a scrap of paper on the floor containing directions from West Bloomfield to Flint.
Oh my God.
So pretty incriminating.
God bless MapQuest.
I was just gonna say this had to have been the era of MapQuest back before we all had iPhones with GPS or even just GPS in general. Do you remember like the Tom Toms that everybody got?
Yeah.
And that was so exciting. So Carol blamed Tim's erratic and violent behavior on heavy drug use and said that after he dropped her off at home, he planned to lie low for a while, but she had no idea where he was hiding out. So authorities placed Carol in protective custody at a local women's shelter and conducted their search for Tim to get his side of the story and whatnot.
I'm
He
not
ended
buying it, by the way. Carol is bogus, I think, but okay.
up so they find him later at the Giles home. So he ended up like being at the house. I guess that was his idea of lying low, is like, oh, they got her out of here, so I guess I'm just gonna go chill at the house. Weird. And they bring him in for questioning. So he talks to investigators. He says Carol is the one who was using drugs and that it was her who had become suspicious of Nancy for stealing the VCR and attacked her that night. He claimed that he watched as Carol used her late husband's insulin syringes to inject Nancy with battery acid, which is so gnarly. That gives me the heebie jeebies.
Okay, I don't even know exactly what that would do to someone, but it cannot be good.
Also, why do you have battery acid laying around? Like, I know nothing about this, but don't you have to, like, I would imagine extract that from something? Like, you can't just go to the store and buy battery acid, can you?
No, I mean, I guess the only experience that I have with like battery acid, just generally speaking, is like, okay, there's a bunch of batteries that go on a semi truck.
Mm-hmm.
If something bad happens with a battery, you have to be really careful, like if it explodes or whatever, because the battery acid is really harmful. It
Yeah,
isn't something that you can go buy. I think you have to do something to the battery to be able to get the battery acid out. I think it would be quite a process. It's not just like readily available, like you open a cover and pour it out or something, which is weird.
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, very strange. So when the acid started to destroy the syringes, Carol switched to bleach, torturing Nancy to get her to talk. Tim said that Carol then suffocated Nancy with a rag doused in bleach. So he admitted to being an accessory to the crime, but he claimed that he did not carry out Nancy's murder. Uh, he was obviously taken into custody, and authorities continued to keep tabs on Carol at the women's shelter, which I don't know why she is not in custody at this point. Why you guys are just like, she's fine, she'll be there.
Yeah, because she had stuff in her car. I feel like that would be enough, like, okay, even if it happened like you said, you were an accessory to the crime. You are under arrest also.
Right. I know that because when I looked up their records to see like where they're like housed at or whatever,
Mhm.
he did have like a prior rap sheet that I think there was like a felony on there or something, so maybe they were able to like more easily book him. I don't know. It seems like there would be enough information though for her as well, so that's just confusing.
Right.
So, with two contradictory stories, Carol's brought back in for questioning, and this time around, she admits not one, but two murders.
Oh God, Jesse.
Yes. So she confessed to the police that her husband Jesse didn't actually die of natural causes, as it was first concluded, giving his medical history of diabetes, heart attack, and stroke. In her confession, Carol said that she killed Jesse by injecting heroin into his insulin and stated that Tim told her how to do it.
Okay, but so how did they come to the conclusion he had a heart attack? They just didn't look for heroin in his system?
I don't think that they ran like a toxicology report. I guess you would, I don't know if they run toxicology on everybody. I don't know how, because if you look at a 500-pound guy with diabetes who's had a stroke, that you
Yeah,
find, you know what I mean? Like, I can see it from both ends of the spectrum. I don't know that if like every time somebody passes away, they're like, okay, well, we need to run a toxicology report, you know?
I guess, yeah. That is true.
But
No, jeez.
so they end up exhuming the body. They call up the daughter that was suspicious from the start, right? And they're like, "Hey, can we exhume the body?" She's like, "Yes, please do." And
What
that
took you so long, buttholes?
exactly that confirms that there was heroin in his system. All this stuff. Carol then says that she was worried about Nancy overhearing her talking to Tim about Jesse's murder, which led Carol to kill Nancy as well. So
So why were they talking about it? He was already dead.
I don't know because they're fucking idiots. Why? Just why did anybody do any of this? Like people are dumb.
Well, okay, not that I can't understand or can understand why she killed her husband, but
Hmm.
like caretaker, like fatigue and stuff is a big thing. Like people who are long term caretakers for someone who has like some kind of thing where like I can at least wrap my brain around a motive for being like, I can't do this anymore. It's just too much for me. Not
Yeah.
as an excuse, but I can at least like be like, oh, okay. But this other lady, why would you be talking about the murder that you did after it's done?
Well, and it's just so heartbreaking too because it was such a brutal way to kill her, and she had moved in to help you with your kids, like after your husband passed away. Like,
Yeah.
it's horrible.
Yeah. The battery acid thing freaks me out. The bleach freaks me out too, but if it's eating away a syringe,
I can't imagine.
what that does, like what that feels like internally, I don't even know. Like, that's terrible.
No, it's so gnarly and just really, really, really horrible. Um, so basically, it pans out. Tim and Carol planned everything together. They attacked Nancy when she came home on the November day and terrorized her. Tim beat her, and then Carol injected her with the battery acid and bleach. They then disposed of Carol's body while the kids were at school, which makes me also really sad to think that these people, that there were kids involved. I mean, just that they had like kids in the house and they were capable of doing these kind of
Yeah.
things. Carol and Tim were tried together for both of the murders with separate juries for each murder. And they were both convicted on 2 counts of first-degree murder and were sentenced to double life sentences in prison without the possibility of parole.
Good.
Per prison records, Carol is currently 50 and is incarcerated at the Huron Valley Correctional Facility for Women in Ypsilanti. And Tim is currently 53 and serving his life sentence at the Thumb Correctional Facility in Lapeer, Michigan.
Well, good. I'm glad they're both behind bars. The thing that's interesting to me, though, is I would imagine that the only evidence that Tim was involved with Jesse's death is her testimony, like her saying that he told her how to, which I don't care. He took part in murdering the other lady, so he can sit and rot in jail regardless. But interesting that her word is enough to
Well, that's
pull
what I'm
him
saying. I
instead.
do find it very interesting, I guess, in that aspect, and then also that it took them like so long to bring her into custody, but they brought him in like right away, even though there's the physical evidence with her as well, and just, you know what I mean. So I do think that that's very interesting. Not that he is innocent in any of this by any means, but
No, he totally, especially the Nancy thing, but I
mhm,
don't know about Jesse. Although, I guess whether or not there's evidence of it, I feel like the fact that he started wearing his jewelry is a pretty good indicator of like he had something to do with it, because that's not normal behavior.
no. Well, in the, like when I was, sifting through all the information, writing this up, there were a couple of comments about how, um, I mean, so obviously Tim and Carol had started dating before
Right.
deciding to kill Jesse, and I think that she had said that like it was Tim's idea to put the heroin in the insulin, and like he had told her how to do it and he had supplied the drugs for her. So I don't know if they had enough evidence of that, but that would like kind of tie him into this.
Isn't that kind of interesting though? They were both working in the medical field, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of bizarre that they would, like, not to sound like a freak, but if you work in the medical field, heroin, if someone were to do a toxicology report, is going to show up.
Right.
There are plenty of medications that can cause a heart attack and to kill someone that would be like leave less like tracers, or less something that would be like red flag that someone did this to him, because that guy was not on heroin and everyone who knew him knew it. So that's
Well,
kind of bizarre.
I don't think that they were the sharpest tools in the shed. I don't think that they were going about this very like your guy in the last one where he was like super super smart,
Yeah.
and yeah, maybe he would have been like, oh well, what would be untraceable. These people, I would imagine heroin's probably pretty cheap as far as stuff goes. I don't know
I mean, yeah, it
personally,
probably
and
is pretty
probably
cheap, but they
get.
could have probably stolen something from their job place. That's what I'm thinking. Like, you guys
No,
are kind of
I
stupid.
agree. but I don't know. I don't know how that stuff is set up either. I mean, trust me, I've watched a lot of Nurse Jackie. If you have like some kind of situation where you're banging the pharmacist, maybe it's easy to just swipe some stuff, but I don't
I
know
mean,
how
as
locked down.
when I think about like the 90s, I think that it was easier. Like things are much more restricted and counted more just because of the opioid crisis. But at the same time, I'm not trying to give anyone pointers on how to kill someone. Do it bad,
Yeah,
please.
we're
Do
just,
something real dumb because you shouldn't do that and you
yeah,
need to be caught.
PSA, don't kill people. You heard it
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Just doing my part. Helping inform the public. Don't kill people. Just don't do that.
Don't.
Unless you're killing them with kindness, then you can.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay. So that was my case for the week. I know we have a really fun, I don't know how controversial this is, but it's our topic for the week.
It's not controversial because there's a lot of controversy and a lot of sadness. I feel like when we came up with the initial idea to have like just a little blip at the end to have like a back and forth thing, I wasn't thinking to myself, like, let's ask the hard hitting questions. Let's have like people rip each other apart. And at least I feel like there's so much bad crap in the world and sadness
Yeah.
that maybe it would be better to have, like debates and conversations that are just like a little bit light, especially at the end of a case where it's like they injected battery acid into someone's veins. Like, that's rough stuff. So, that all being said, we all know the tragedies that have occurred, especially within the last couple of weeks throughout the US. And our
Mhm.
goal isn't to like turn away from those because we don't care, because obviously um we do care a lot, but
Yeah.
we're not looking to start a debate about gun laws with people where someone feels isolated, or if you're like me, having deep discussions about these shootings, specifically like an elementary school one where both of us can relate because we have children that age. It is anxiety inducing for me. Like, I just really, I've watched news about it, but I have to do it in like really little like drips because it's too much for me and it's too sad, it's too hard. So instead of digging into those things and people having debates about that or like Roe versus Wade stuff, we want to have fun debates here where someone feels like, oh, it's like funny stuff we can argue over, like the fact that I'm correct that it's a bubbler and Chloe is very, very mistaken, stuff like that. So, that being said, before she can respond to that, I'm going to jump into our, our topic for the week. So, for those of you who are married and or dating, or even if you're not currently, that you have dated someone or were married, we have had discussions about who our like celebrity crushes are. And I want to be specific about this because do I think Leonardo DiCaprio is a hottie? Yeah, I do. But that's not my celebrity crush. So there's a difference between people that you think are good looking or attractive or hot, and then like a person who's like your celebrity crush. And I think that I have mentioned my deep love for Dolph Lundgren before on the podcast. Um, but our thought process was, when you think about your celebrity crush, does this person resemble your significant other in some way? So for me and Dolph Lundgren, I would say yes, that Mirza looks, I mean, more so when he was younger, like both Dolph Lundgren and Mirza. Like, people used to tell him on a regular basis, not me, but people used to tell him
Yeah,
he looks
me,
so
let's
much
be clear.
he looks so much like Dolph Lundgren. And now that he's old, I mean, first of all, Mirza refuses, even though I have tried to get him to dye his hair blonde. He straight up refuses, which
Oh
is
my God.
extremely disrespectful to our relationship, but that's a talk for another day. He also
It's,
refuses to wear a gi after I watched Karate Kid, but it's, he's stubborn. We're working on it.
where is Dolph from? Is he German?
He is Swedish.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense, being as blonde
Mm-hmm.
as he is.
So if you're not familiar with Dolph Lundgren, he would be Ivan Drago from Rocky 4, I think was probably his most notable film. He was also in Universal Soldier. He's also in The Expendables. And then he has like a whole bunch of like B to C to D level movies that are in between. I've seen a bunch of them because I am obsessed with him, but the average person probably has not seen as many Dolph Lundgren films as I have. Now, Chloe.
Okay, but so to wrap that up, he does look very like Eastern European to me. I don't think I would peg him as Swedish right off the bat, to be honest.
Yeah,
And Katie's husband is also Eastern European, and so definitely very strong type there.
yeah,
Like really similar facial features, I would say, definitely.
yeah. And I mean, also Dolph Lundgren is, I don't remember exactly how tall he is, but he is a very tall person.
He's a big dude.
And my husband is, he always says I'm lying. I think that he's 6'7". I don't measure him, but I don't know if I'm making it up. Everyone is tall to me. When you're 5'4", everyone's taller, unless you have little man syndrome like me. And then I'm like telling Mirza that I think his friends are the same height as me. And he's like, they're 6'2". That's not real life. And I'm like, that's wrong.
Don't lie.
So,
Oh my God. Okay, so my celebrity crush is Adam Driver, which might be a weird pick for some people, but I think he's beautiful. And I just watched the new House of Gucci, which he was in with Lady Gaga, and I was like, oh
oh,
my God. I don't know how somebody could even look so attractive in a turtleneck because there were a lot of turtlenecks in that movie. And he was rocking it, okay? He had the big glasses, and I was just still here for it. But he's also in Star Wars,
yeah,
right? I
he's
think he's
Kylo Ren,
Kylo
I
Ren,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which neither of us watch Star Wars, don't add us, but he's in
I've
that.
seen those. I've seen the newer ones. I haven't seen any of the old ones, but I've seen the newer ones.
Okay, and then if you're not familiar with either of those, he's in a pretty prolific meme as well from the movie he was in with Scarlett Johansson, and it's where he's like going to like hit the wall. So that guy with like the dark hair, and as soon as I said that, Katie's like, that makes sense because my husband Ryan also like super similar like facial features, like real dark hair. I'm into it, man.
Yeah, the only thing that Adam Driver is missing that makes him and Ryan on a different level is I don't believe that Adam Driver has the perfect male physique that Ryan's doctor has signed off
We
on and say that he has. So,
yeah, we made the unfortunate mistake. I was like, "Oh, let's get our family healthy," right? Seems innocent. So we go to the nutritionist and somehow I I'm not like morbidly obese or like real unhealthy, but they were like, here's the things that you can work on because we did these body composition tests that show you how much muscle versus fat you have.
mm,
So I needed to do some more weightlifting, got after it. I send Ryan in there. He's fucking literally like in the perfect like middle like percentile for everything. And that just gassed him up. And so now it's like I gotta hear how he's like literally technically the perfect male physique based off like actual results and science. And I'm not sure, yeah, if Adam Driver would match up. We would have to see some body composition results, but
doubtful. It's just very doubtful. But so, based on our findings, it seems like people typically. Okay, so there's two options. Number one, that people have celebrity crushes on people that resemble their significant other in one way or another. Or number two, you go out into the world and seek someone that looks exactly like the person that you have a celebrity crush on. It's one of those.
it's gotta
So let us know. Who is your celebrity crush? And does your significant other look like them?
be. Yes.
I asked Mirza to compare for me. And I've never actually heard him say like a person who's like the celebrity girl he likes, and probably because he knows I'm a crazy person and I will light his clothes on fire if he mentions it. So, smart move on his part.
I know who Ryan's is, okay? And it ain't me, I'll tell you that. But I also, okay, so I'm not even like mad at this. Do you know who Elizabeth Banks is?
That
She's
name,
the blonde lady. I'm trying to think of what
is
I
she on
always.
Hunger Games?
I haven't watched that in forever. Hang on, let me look up.
Now I need to see the face.
Cause yeah, she is. Oh yeah, she is
She
in.
is in the Hunger Games. Yeah, she's like one of the ladies. I can't think of what else she was in.
I think of her in.
40-Year-Old Virgin.
No, I'm trying to think of that one horror movie. It's like a weird, random horror movie that I feel like nobody has probably seen. Okay, she's in Zack and Mary Make a Porno.
Pitch Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, Magic Mike XXL.
Oh, she's in Role Models. Yeah, she's like Paul Rudd's like girlfriend or whatever who's like sick of his crap.
Yeah, she plays like a lot of like supporting roles. I feel like she's in like a ton of stuff, but she's
Yeah.
never generally like the leading lady, which is fine.
You know who I
But
was going to guess Ryan's celebrity crush was? The girl who plays Wednesday Addams in the Addams Family. Because then I'd be like, spot on. Look, your hair is like the long.
is that Christina Ricci?
Yes, yeah.
Oh God, she's very goth. She's not ugly. I'll take it. All right. I need to know this horror movie that I always think of though with her in it. What is it called? Oh, she's in Our Idiot Brother. I love that movie.
Is it The Uninvited?
Yes, that's it. Have you
She
ever
was
watched
also
that?
in. I think I have, but I don't know. I try to put those out of my mind because I don't do well with. Okay, scary movies I can deal with, like Texas Chainsaw and Saw.
Yeah,
Although I am convinced if you wrote these movies, especially the Saw movies, that you should be put in jail because I'm wondering what's wrong with you that you thought of all
I
these
agree.
situations. But it's
Yeah.
like the ones I didn't realize that Johnny Depp was in Nightmare on Elm Street
Oh, I didn't either.
because I saw that when I was in 6th grade at my best friend's birthday sleepover party.
Oh,
And I had issues with that because
yeah.
as if you haven't seen Freddy Krueger, if you haven't seen Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger goes after people, but he can also murder you in your sleep,
Yep.
which is a real challenge when you're a child. And then it's like, oh my God, I'm so scared. But also, I can't go to sleep because I will be murdered then. So, but Johnny Depp is in that movie. I blocked it out because it was extremely traumatic. I saw that and the Halloween movies,
Oh, yeah.
which when I first started dating, me and my roommate said, like, you know who he reminds me of? Michael Myers. He just needs like a jumpsuit.
Oh
Because
my
he's
God,
like really big in the movies. He's a like very tall stature also.
that would be
So
hilarious.
I
Should
don't think that he is yet. I mean, I don't know that he's not. How can I prove that he isn't?
we
So
can't rule it out.
yeah, jury's still out on that one. But
Well, we'll leave you guys hanging with that one for next week. In the meantime, if you have a chance, head on over, give us reviews, ratings on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to us. It definitely helps us get out there, helps people find us, and we can grow our listeners. Definitely check out our YouTube channel, our Instagram. Everything's under at Maniacally Midwest. And you can also feel free to comment, especially like on YouTube, or send us an email, maniacallymidwest@gmail.com, with questions, comments, concerns about Katie's husband being Michael Myers, anything of that nature.
yeah, if you have any proof of it, send it to me. We'll compose a case against him. But yeah,
Yes.
that being said, thank you guys so much. We love you. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.